a young perspective on hot-button issues around the world. This is The Hub.
Hello and welcome to The Hub on CGTN. I'm Meng Guan. Sports have long been a powerful bond connecting people across cultures and continents. In late July, a group of Latin American senior guests and officials gathered in Beijing to explore the theme from sports popularity to economic growth.
I think it's fair to say that there are few vehicles that can solidify and unite the world. Think about it, the love for sports, bringing the cultures, bringing people from different backgrounds together. Of course, we're entering an era that the global south is a force to be reckoned with. So without further ado, let me introduce the panelists for this panel discussion. Dean Li Haitao, Dean and Distinguished Chair Professor of Finance at Chiang Kong Graduate School of Business. We also have Alejandro Paleta, Secretary of the National Sports of Uruguay, Paulo Afonso de Araújo, Director at Brazil's Office for Amateur Sports Education, Leisure and Social Inclusion, Li Xuanzhi, CEO of Misto Hong Kong Limited and Misto Global Sourcing Center and DBA alumnus of CKGSB, Li Xiaosheng, former Olympic and world champion gymnast, founder of Hubei Haowu Shuangxing Technology Corporation, and also an alumnus of CKGSB. Zhang Xingxiang is chairman and founder of Beijing Ishida Investment Corporation and former captain of Beijing women's football team. Mr. Li Tian, he's the initiator of Chasing Dreams youth football program. Let me turn to you first, Dean Li Haitao. What challenges do you think China and Latin America need to overcome in the course of their cooperation, in which industries and resources do you see complementarity, and what is the current state of such cooperation? We'd love to hear your thoughts and insights on this.
Where China should go, where's the next stage of globalization? The world cannot be divided, cannot be broken, because we need to work together to make the whole human race better off. There's natural complementaries between the Chinese economy and the economies in the global south. The most important thing is to realize we have mutual benefits, we have mutual interests, and then so if you have mutual interests, you can ignore the political noises, you can ignore the ideological noises. So because at the bottom line, every country wants their people to have better life. So whichever country can help me, they will embrace the cooperation. So I think Latin America and China, with the help of digital technology, that can help them to be more profitable, to have bigger impact, not just in sports, but in all different industries. So I think sports, like I said, is a window that people can get to know each other, can trust each other. Then from there, you can learn to trust their brands, their products, right? So it's the beginning of a more integrated cooperation between the two economies. So I think it's a great start that we have people coming from different countries, different worlds. We talk about sports, we talk about things we love, and then from sports you can lead to deeper cooperations between different countries. Yeah.
Great. So that really leads to my next question. Why don't I ask you, Director Paulo, because Dean Li has been talking about Brazil. Maybe you can talk to us about the role of football in uniting people from different cultural backgrounds in Brazil, people from different economic backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, because you're in charge not just football, but you have a big title. You're the director, also in charge of education, leisure, social inclusion. That's many things.
Buenos días a todos y todas.
Good morning to everyone. It is an honor to speak with you.
Yo creo que el deporte refleja una cultura.
I believe that sports can change culture.
Puede cambiar la cultura. En Brasil, todos nosotros sabemos.
In Brazil, we all know that football is the most important thing.
Deporte en Brasil. Pero en Brasil tenemos dos.
But in Brazil, we have two pastimes that we need to reflect on: drinking and football.
El fútbol de los grandes equipos tiene mucha plata.
Football receives a lot of investment from companies and has its own very distinct dynamic.
Hace 2 décadas, nosotros percibimos
2 decades ago, we decided it was necessary to expand and bring the population into the world of football.
Es vulnerable para el mundo del fútbol. El fútbol, entonces,
Football then
pasó a ser
became a public policy
una
to involve
dinámica,
vulnerable
una
people.
política pública para involucrar las personas vulnerables. Nosotros queremos
We want a
una
program of
modalidad,
competitions
un
in
programa
neighborhoods, cities,
de
regions, and across the country
competiciones de barrios,
involving vulnerable
de
people.
ciudades, de
This
región,
was a very
de
strong
país,
public policy for inclusion.
involucrando las personas
Later,
vulnerables.
through these competitions,
Esto
the
fue
government
una política
created
pública
another
de inclusión
policy.
muy fuerte.
We discovered many
Después
athletes who
el
could make the
gobierno
leap to
ha
top
hecho
performance.
otra
So we created a
política,
public
es
policy
que
of thousands
en
upon
estos-
thousands of
en estas
scholarships for
competiciones,
vulnerable youth.
nosotros descubrimos
All of this has
muchos
changed the reality of
atletas
football,
que
which we
puedan
call football
saltar
for
el alto
peace, or
rendimiento.
the people's football.
Entonces creamos una
It was
política
very
pública
important.
con
It has been 10 or
millares y
12
millares
years
de
since we
becas
implemented
para
this
los
public
jóvenes
policy.
vulnerables.
And I can tell you
Todo
that
esto
millions
ha
of Brazilians
cambiado
now play
la
football
realidad
thanks to public
del
investment.
fútbol que nosotros
This
llamamos
serves to
fútbol
value the
de base,
communities and the
fútbol
people living in
comunitario,
vulnerable
fútbol,
situations.
eh,
So in Brazil
de la
today,
gente,
we have
esta
this
política.
policy,
Es muy importante
and there is an annual
porque,
budget increase from the
el
government
deporte,
to carry it
no
out.
solamente el fútbol,
Taxes and
es muy
budgets
importante,
already have a
mas
percentage
cambia
designated for
una
this.
mentalidad acerca del
This is
fútbol
very
y
important
acerca
because
de
sport
la
not only
identidad
matters
de
in
las
itself,
personas que viven
but also
en situaciones
changes the
vulnerables.
mindset
El
around football
es
and the sense of
un
identity for
deporte
people living in
que ha
real-life
transformado las
situations.
comunidades en Brasil.
My next question goes to Minister Alejandro Peleda. If you think about it, Uruguay has the most number of World Cups won, Copa Americas won, and Olympic titles, given their 3.5 million population. So in this sense, Uruguay is perhaps the most successful football nation in the world. So maybe you can talk to us about the secret formula behind Uruguay's sporting success and football success, and the collaboration opportunities that you see, especially during this trip, thanks to Mr. Lee's charity program, visiting China, the opportunities that you see in the Chinese market for future cooperation between our two countries.
En primer lugar, es un placer y un honor.
First of all, it is a pleasure and an honor to participate. We appreciate the invitation extended to Ibero-American Sports Council and the opportunity to be part of this meeting. First, the secret is something we're all still trying to discover. Yes, we're clear that in Uruguay, football is part of our culture, and a great deal of work on developing this discipline begins in childhood. In Uruguay, children's football was declared to be under the special protection of the state. There is a state-led organization that works with sports institutions on youth development. While our total number of children isn't large, today, almost 4 out of every 10 children in Uruguay participate in youth football, which is a very large proportion of our population. I believe that because it's part of our culture, with this involvement from childhood and specific support from the state, we have been able to achieve the successes we continue to have. This is despite the fact that football is developing much more around the world, making competition more difficult for us. In terms of numbers, our neighbors, Argentina and Brazil, are countries with much larger populations, and I do believe that cooperation in sports is fundamental. It holds possibilities for economic development for both parties involved in the cooperation. Yet, I think the most fundamental and important thing is that this economic development goes hand in hand with social development. We had a president, or rather more than a president, an ideological leader in Uruguay, Pepe Mujica, who left us with many teachings and messages. One of them is the value of time. The greatest value we as people have is not the ability to acquire material goods, but that our greatest value is our time on earth. Being able to enjoy that lifetime is fundamental for society, and sport is part of that. Sport is one of the arenas where people can develop themselves and enjoy their lives. Therefore, that should be the main objective behind cooperation and development. Of course, to achieve this, it is obviously necessary to develop economies. They are complementary to each other. And this value that sport has in communities, where it builds values and citizenship, I believe is not restricted to the local level. Internationally, cooperation and the bond between countries are also greatly strengthened when they are not just limited to ties and agreements among political leaders, but when these actions also involve the general population. Sport has the ability to involve communities in that exchange and in bringing countries closer. That is why I believe there is a great deal of ground to cover regarding international cooperation in this area.
Jingxiang, from a female perspective, could you share with us the significance and value of women participating in sports, not only in shaping personal character, but also in terms of their impact on families, society, and women empowerment?
Thank you very much. My perspective is from the spirit of sports to economic legacy. My current work is in commercial real estate, particularly community-based real estate. Through sports, we encourage people to embrace an active lifestyle. But what does that really promote? Family-wide participation, not just an individual exercise. Why? Because a community is a collection of families, couples, women, children, and elderly. We pass this spirit on throughout our community. Right now, my work goes beyond basketball, painting, and of course football. We are also involved in golf. I believe when sports programs reach thousands of households, they can also ultimately drive business growth. From sports-driven influence to economic impact, every time we hold a sports event, our merchants experience growth both online and offline. Why? Because at the event, people need to buy drinks, meals, and more. And naturally, we also integrate brands into this process.
Next, let's turn to Xiaoshuang. When we look at sports with high global commercial visibility, apart from the shining moment of China's women's volleyball team in 2016, getting a gold medal, overall performance has been rather underwhelming. Let's put it that way. In your view, given our growing economic strength, why have the three major ball games and track and field sports that attract greatest global attention and commercialization?
How can we raise China's level in the three major bowl games? The key is to start with children. Sports must be fully integrated into schools. As Jingxiang rightly noted, we also need to reach communities. At present, our resources can only extend that far, but education and sports are fundamentally inseparable. Professionalization alone is not enough. Only with a broad base can you build a strong pyramid. From among many children, you can spot the talented, and from the talented, you cultivate the very best.
Let me quickly ask Xuanzhi a few questions. How do we integrate localization and internationalization?
Globalization加上那个 localization.
I coined the term glocalization, a blend of globalization and localization. Every regional market is unique. That's why we adopt a unified global strategy with consistent branding worldwide, while also building in local flexibility to adapt to each market.
Local flexibility.
Mr. Li Tian, you're the initiator of Chasing Dreams plan for rural football revitalization, as well as a philanthropist yourself, something you've been engaged in over the years. As you have been helping rural children pursuing their football dreams, what personal experiences have left the deepest impression on you? And today, How do you see a sustainable model of sports philanthropy taking shape?
This is, at its core, a matter of corporate social responsibility. At the same time, it's also about business for good. If we can establish a business cycle that's even better, connecting with more consumer-facing and even business-facing products through joint initiatives and partnerships. For companies, this not only generates traffic, but also helps them fulfill their social responsibilities. In this way, we can form together a complete business cycle with them. That is our ultimate goal.
On the sidelines of the roundtable, I spoke with Daniel Perez Siguela, co-president of the Nicaraguan Sports Association, and Li Tian, the philanthropist who has supported many young people in pursuing their football and sporting dreams. President Daniel Perez, welcome to Beijing, China. China and Nicaragua have a very robust, although young, relationship. There have been a number of areas where we work very closely. How do you expect sport to be a major driving factor, a driving force in making this China-Nicaragua relations even stronger?
First, I'd like to offer greetings and thanks. I believe that sport is more than just a simple competition. This creates many opportunities for the relationship between China and Nicaragua, and Latin America specifically, to develop, given the conditions of our countries. In the current multipolar world, China is a great ally for us, not only in sports, but also in infrastructure and other areas. This enables the conditions in our countries to improve more each day and allows us to develop.
And after listening to the speeches today, the keynote speakers, what's your major takeaway when it comes to China, Latin America sports cooperation? Anything impressed you? Anything left the impression in your heart, in your mind?
Well, I believe the opportunity for the entire Global South to develop, with all the chances China is providing through its development in both infrastructure and commerce, can help countries acquire more materials and infrastructure. This allows them to make sports accessible to everyone, not just a select few, but to expand it and give everyone the right to play sports. Thanks to this cooperation with the People's Republic of China.
What kind of partner do you expect China to be for your country, Nicaragua? Because China has been all over Latin America, forging partnerships, building hospitals, building ports, building bridges and infrastructure, highways. What kind of a partner do you envision China to be for your country, Nicaragua, going forward?
We would like sports infrastructure, more stadiums or high-performance centers that could give our country that leap forward to be able to have higher quality athletes. We have seen your infrastructure in other sectors that already exist in the country, and we believe it is very important. Currently, a problem we have in Nicaragua is that our sports facilities are already at full capacity. We need more sports infrastructure, and we believe that just like other developing countries, we also deserve the opportunity.
When it comes to the exchanges of young people, how do you envision your organization, the Nicaragua Sports Association, to play a role in fostering more youth exchanges, sports between young people of our two countries?
Well, most of the young people there practice certain sports disciplines. Some are linked to more technologically advanced sports, while others are less so. These are challenges that require us as countries to create the opportunities and conditions so that these young people can also be included in sport activities. We see how baseball is growing. Likewise, soccer, volleyball and basketball are also developing as we create policies to give opportunities to all young people. Opportunities we didn't have before, with very low budgets compared to the entire Central American region.
Anything you learned about China that you previously don't know? How do you like this country?
In China, what has impressed me the most is technology for everyone. not just for certain groups. We see technology in how people use public transport, how they get around, how they pay in stores to buy something. The security they have is very interesting, as is how they have achieved such great development in such a short time. We also have the opportunity to learn from China.
También tenemos la oportunidad de poder aprender de China.
And then Nicaragua in Central America is a very important country. You have some, good sporting culture and sports teams. So, what is the position of sport in the heart of Nicaraguans?
Antes no teníamos.
Before, we didn't have much access to sports. It was seen as something only for certain social classes. Currently, a policy has been developed that creates sports facilities and sports events, which gives opportunities to young people. And now they feel they have the right. They feel attended to. Every time the government builds a baseball facility, all the young people who practice baseball feel cared for because having high-level sports infrastructure allows them to feel important. Now, all of us young people are in the best era for sports in Nicaragua because there is so much opportunity. Support has increased by more than 500%. And that is fundamental for the holistic development of the human being. It provides benefits like better health, fewer crowded hospitals, and better concentration for academic studies and mathematics. This has enabled well-rounded development of the younger generation.
What do you think of Chinese sport? Do you have any Chinese sports celebrities, any names that you're familiar with, or any sport from China, Chinese teams that you're familiar? Other than Yao Ming?
Muy pocos, no. Gustó mucho conocer al
Very few. We really enjoyed meeting the athlete who shared with us, the gymnast. What he talked about was a great inspiration. Given the great distance between us, I think it's important to get to know all these athletes from China and their performance in very, very, very well-known Olympic and World Championships. Maybe I can't give you names, but we have seen great development in disciplines that are not widely practiced by us, but that you have.
So presently, you are doing something that is very important. It's about nurturing the future generation and the future generation who are underprivileged, who don't necessarily have the means and tools. If not for your charitable work, you're funding the Chinese school children from the mountainous areas, from the poor villages, to play football and to love football and to live a better life. So tell us about your project.
Chasing Dreams is a charity project mainly in the area, mountain area or rural area. In those areas, the children generally from poor family, so they don't have enough source to have training to get a football skill. So our goal is to send high-level coach in the school and to teach them, to let them have a good level of football. With this goal, they can get a very better chance to free enter the high school, for example, or they can even put it better, they can get a chance to enter the national teams. So maybe this is a better way for them to change their life or change the destiny of their family.
And in your speech, you mentioned a team from Guizhou 2 years ago, where I was there too. They're playing a friendly against Tsinghua University schoolgirls, which is one of the most prestigious schools in China. And amazingly, the rural village girls beat the Tsinghua girls 3-0. And that was a moment that you thought blew your mind away.
Yeah, that gave us a strong confidence that the rural girls, they have passion to play football. They have a strong heart to train a lot, to have a belief that with football they can change their life. So that also give us a power that we should continue this project to help these girls with long time until they enter the society or until they go to the university.
And finally, talking about China, Ibero-American Sports Cooperation, that is really up-and-coming organization that is working very closely with China. How do you expect China and Chinese entities, organizations to work even more closely with Ibero-American Sports Association?
Sport is a universal language. So especially in the area of football. So football is very special sport for entire Latin America. So I believe we can consider football is like a platform between China and the countries of Latin America. And by football, the youth people can understand better. And also a lot of exchange or matches, or even some visit each other. For example, last year we take our Chasing Dream Girls team to Rio de Janeiro, to Brazil, and the girls visit a special school. The special school based on a stadium of Olympic Rio de Janeiro. Our Chinese girls, they cannot speak English, and the Brazil girls, they cannot speak Chinese, but they can have a class together and understand each other and have a lot of fun. Even when they say goodbye, leave the school, the Brazil girls, a lot of Brazil girls, they crying. So I think even they cannot using language to understand each other, but with the football, and they can understand each other.
On that beautiful note, thank you so much for the projects that you brought to China and the difference that you made. That's it for this edition of The Hub on CGTN. I'm Wang Guan. Thank you so much for joining us.